Hello everyone, welcome to SleepSpace. Tonight we will talk about something truly extraordinary, an idea that stretches beyond galaxies, beyond the Big Bang, and possibly even beyond time itself. We're going to explore a question that challenges everything. We think we know about existence. Could your consciousness be older than the universe itself? To ask this question is to open a doorway into the deepest layers of what reality might be. Most of us take it for granted that time has a beginning, that there was a moment when the universe came into existence and everything, including life, evolved from there. But what if consciousness, the mysterious awareness behind all experience, isn't something that emerged inside the universe? What if, instead, it's something that existed before it? Something timeless, infinite, and fundamental to everything that ever was or could be. When scientists talk about the origin of the universe, they often begin with the Big Bang, a singularity about 13.8 billion years ago, when space, time, and energy all burst into being. It's the moment when the laws of physics began to operate, when the first light appeared, and when the fabric of reality unfolded. Yet even this story starts with a mystery. What came before? If time itself began with the Big Bang, what does it even mean to ask what happened before time? This is where things become deeply strange. The question of consciousness forces us to look at reality not just as a collection of physical events, but as something experienced, something known. We are not merely observing the universe from the outside. We are part of it, aware of it, and in some sense, the universe is aware of itself through us. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer once wrote that the world is my representation. Everything you know about existence, every star, every sound, every heartbeat, comes through the lens of consciousness. Without it, there would be no perception, no meaning, no reality as we experience it. So what if consciousness isn't something produced by matter, but rather matter is something experienced within consciousness? This is one of the most provocative ideas in both philosophy and modern physics. In some interpretations of quantum mechanics, reality doesn't solidify into a definite state until it is observed. The so-called observer effect suggests that observation, and by extension awareness, plays a fundamental role in shaping the world. If that's true, then consciousness isn't just an afterthought of evolution. It could be woven into the fabric of reality itself, existing even before time began. But let's take a step back. When we say the universe is 13.8 billion years old, we're speaking from a physical perspective, from the timeline that governs matter, light, and space. Time is a measure of change within a system. It's the unfolding of cause and effect, the ticking of cosmic clocks. Consciousness, however, might not be bound by that. You can experience time slowing down or speeding up, depending on your state of mind. In dreams, seconds can feel like hours. In moments of awe, the sense of time can vanish entirely. This suggests that consciousness does not follow time. It experiences it. If consciousness can observe time, might it also exist outside of it? Think of a movie reel. The film contains every frame of the story at once: past, present, and future. The viewer, sitting outside the film, experiences each frame sequentially, creating the illusion of motion. Could our awareness be like that viewer, existing outside the reel of time, observing each moment as it unfolds? Physicist Max Planck, one of the founders of quantum theory, once said, "I regard consciousness as fundamental. I regard matter as derivative from consciousness." To him, consciousness wasn't an accident of physics. It was the foundation upon which physics itself rested. He wasn't alone in this thought. across centuries, mystics and philosophers have spoken of awareness as the eternal ground of being, the infinite field from which all forms arise and into which they dissolve. Let's imagine for a moment that consciousness is not created by the brain, but expressed through it, like light through a prism. The brain doesn't produce awareness, it shapes and filters it, giving form to thoughts, sensations, and memories. Just as radio waves exist all around us, waiting to be tuned in, consciousness could be an ever-present field that every sentient being taps into in its own unique way. When a radio breaks, the music doesn't disappear, the receiver simply stops playing it. Similarly, when a body dies, perhaps the awareness that animated it doesn't vanish. It simply returns to its source. Now, if this awareness is truly fundamental, it couldn't have begun with the universe, because the universe itself would be a manifestation within it. In that sense, your consciousness, the essence that says I am, might be older than every galaxy, every atom, every flicker of time. Not in the sense that you, as a person, existed, but that the witnessing presence within you, the pure awareness behind thought, was never born and will never die. This might sound abstract, but it has roots in both ancient philosophy and cutting-edge science. In Hindu philosophy, the concept of Brahman represents the ultimate reality, pure consciousness from which all forms arise. The individual self, or Atman, is seen as identical to Brahman. Tattvam asi, they say, thou art that. You are not separate from the infinite. You are the infinite experiencing itself as a person. Meanwhile, in modern theoretical physics, some scientists are beginning to consider consciousness not as an emergent property, but as a fundamental aspect of reality, like space and time. Integrated information theory, for example, suggests that consciousness corresponds to the degree of informational integration in a system, meaning that awareness might exist wherever information is deeply connected. If information has always existed, perhaps awareness has too. But there's a deeper mystery still. What if consciousness doesn't just predate the universe? What if it creates it? Some interpretations of quantum physics, like the participatory anthropic principle, propose that the universe requires observers to exist. Without consciousness, there would be no wave function collapse, no definite reality. In that sense, the universe might not be something that gave rise to consciousness. It might be something consciousness is continuously generating. If that's true, then time, space, and matter are expressions of an underlying awareness, not the other way around. The Big Bang might not have been the beginning of consciousness, but the beginning of its current expression, a way for infinite awareness to experience itself through form. Just as a dream emerges from the mind, the cosmos could emerge from consciousness. When you dream, your mind creates entire worlds, landscapes, people, stories, all within itself. To the dreamer, those worlds feel real until awakening reveals their source. Could the universe be a cosmic dream, unfolding within the infinite awareness that you, in your deepest essence, are part of? When ancient mystics described enlightenment as an waking up, perhaps they meant exactly that. Awakening from the illusion of separation, realizing that consciousness and cosmos are one. Science is beginning to catch glimpses of this too. In the realm of quantum entanglement, particles separated by vast distances appear to remain connected, as if space itself is an illusion. The universe might not be a collection of isolated things, but a seamless whole, a single consciousness expressing itself in countless forms. And yet the question remains, why does consciousness take this form? Why does it choose to experience itself through galaxies, planets, and living beings? Some thinkers suggest that the universe is a kind of self-exploration, that awareness, infinite and formless, manifests as the physical world in order to know itself. In this view, every moment of experience, every thought, every star, every life, is consciousness discovering itself anew. So when we ask if your consciousness is older than the universe, we're really asking, is there something within you that exists beyond all beginnings and endings? The self that is born, lives and dies is part of the cosmic cycle, but the awareness that perceives all of it, that silent presence behind your eyes, may be timeless. It's a humbling thought, and perhaps a liberating one. Because if consciousness is indeed fundamental, then you are not a fleeting spark in a vast, indifferent cosmos. You are the cosmos, the very awareness through which it unfolds. The atoms in your body were forged in ancient stars, but the awareness that knows those stars might transcend even their birth. So as you listen tonight, allow your mind to drift beyond the boundaries of space and time. Imagine the silence before the first light, the stillness before creation stirred. In that infinite calm, could awareness already have been? Vast, unchanging, eternal? If so, then the universe is not something separate from you. It is your reflection, a dream within the infinite consciousness that watches it all. And perhaps in the deepest stillness of your own awareness, you can glimpse that timeless origin, the place where all beginnings dissolve, and all that remains is the knowing that you are. If consciousness truly exists beyond time, then what we experience as the flow of history, the birth of stars, the formation of worlds, the rise of life, might just be a localized unfolding within something much larger. To understand this, we need to step back and look at time itself, not as a simple progression of moments, but as a structure that consciousness interacts with. In physics, time isn't a fixed river flowing from past to future. It's a dimension woven into the fabric of space, flexible, curved, and relative to the observer. Einstein's theory of relativity showed that time moves differently depending on speed and gravity. A clock near a massive star ticks more slowly than one far from it. A traveller moving close to light speed experiences seconds while centuries pass for others. This means that time, as we know it, isn't absolute. It's part of a cosmic geometry, a property of space-time itself. But consciousness, the awareness that observes, isn't bound by this geometry in the same way. You can recall the past, imagine the future, and hold multiple timelines in thought. The mind can transcend time within itself. It doesn't travel through seconds, it witnesses them. This has led some thinkers to wonder whether time is something experienced within consciousness, rather than something consciousness is trapped in. Imagine consciousness as a vast ocean, and time as ripples moving across its surface. Each ripple represents a sequence, a cause and effect, but the ocean beneath remains still, infinite and ever-present. From that stillness, all possible moments can arise, like waves forming and dissolving on the surface. If this analogy is true, then consciousness would be the timeless ground upon which all change unfolds. The Big Bang would not be a beginning in the absolute sense, but a localized event within the infinite awareness that underlies all things. Just as a dream begins and ends within the mind of the dreamer, the universe could begin and end within the field of consciousness itself. Interestingly, some cosmologists are beginning to question whether the Big Bang was truly the start of everything. The classical model suggests a singularity, an infinitely dense point where the laws of physics break down. But quantum gravity theories, like loop quantum cosmology, propose that there may have been a bounce, a previous universe that collapsed and then rebounded into ours. In such models, the cosmos is cyclic, with endless births and deaths, each giving rise to the next. If the universe is eternal in this way, then consciousness might not just predate this specific cosmic expansion, it might be the continuity that threads through all of them. The observer behind the scenes, watching every creation and dissolution across countless cycles. Now imagine that consciousness is not confined to individual beings, but exists as a universal field, a single, infinite awareness expressing itself through countless forms. In that case, every sentient creature is like a lens through which the cosmos perceives itself. Your perspective is one of infinite possible vantage points of the same underlying consciousness. Just as many windows can look out on the same sky, each being reflects the same infinite awareness. This perspective finds echoes in both science and spirituality. The physicist Erwin Schrödinger once said, "The total number of minds in the universe is one." He believed that individual consciousnesses are not truly separate, but manifestations of a singular field. Similarly, in many mystical traditions, the sense of being a separate self is seen as an illusion, a necessary experience for the play of existence, but not the ultimate truth. If that's the case, then the awareness behind your eyes, the silent witness of every thought and perception, is not personal. It's cosmic. It's the same awareness that experiences through every creature, every world. It's the same knowing that, before the first atom existed, held the potential for everything. This idea may feel abstract, but it carries profound implications. If consciousness is fundamental, then life is not an accident, and awareness is not fragile. Instead, existence becomes a kind of grand self-expression. Consciousness exploring its infinite potential through form and experience. Each star, each life, each thought is a brushstroke in the great painting of being. Yet the human mind struggles to grasp eternity. We think in beginnings and endings, births and deaths. We measure existence in seconds and years. But what if, to consciousness itself, time is not a line, but a landscape? Imagine a vast terrain stretching infinitely in all directions. Every moment, past, present, and future, exists simultaneously within it. From the vantage point of awareness, you can move across this landscape, perceiving different moments, but the whole of it already is. Some physicists refer to this concept as the block universe. In this model, time doesn't flow. Every event is part of a four-dimensional structure that already exists. We experience it as a sequence only because our consciousness moves through it, like a light scanning across a film reel. If that's true, then consciousness itself might exist outside the block entirely, illuminating each frame as it chooses. This raises another fascinating possibility. What if consciousness can access different points in that structure? Experiences like déjà vu, precognition, or sudden insight might be glimpses of awareness stepping briefly outside the linear sequence. Most of the time, we're anchored to a single timeline, but perhaps the deeper essence of awareness isn't bound to it at all. In certain meditative or near-death experiences, people report sensations of timelessness, of witnessing all of existence at once. They describe realities beyond space, a sense of merging with everything, of being pure awareness beyond identity. These accounts often echo ancient descriptions of enlightenment, a return to the source, where the illusion of separateness dissolves and all becomes one. Could these experiences be windows into the timeless nature of consciousness? Reminders that the essence of who we are was never confined to matter or time. From a scientific standpoint, studying consciousness is notoriously difficult. We can measure brain activity, track neurons, and analyze perception, but none of it reveals how subjective experience arises. This is known as the hard problem of consciousness. Why does electrical activity in the brain produce an inner life, Why is there a first-person perspective at all? So far, no physical explanation has bridged that gap. That mystery has led some thinkers to suggest that consciousness might not need to be explained by physics because it is not a product of physics. Instead, physics might be something experienced within consciousness. The laws of nature describe how things behave once they appear, but not the awareness that perceives them. If consciousness came first, then the physical universe could be its structured expression, like a dream-given mathematical form. Quantum theory hints at this possibility. In experiments like the double-slit test, particles behave as waves of probability until observed. Observation causes the wave to collapse into a definite state. This suggests that at some level, reality depends on being experienced. The universe might not exist as a fixed thing out there. It might crystallize through the act of observation, through awareness itself. If that's true, then consciousness is not inside the universe. The universe is inside consciousness. And that means awareness must be older, deeper, and more fundamental than any physical event, including the Big Bang. The universe becomes a phenomenon within the infinite field of knowing, a spark within eternal awareness. In this light, your consciousness isn't just a fleeting pattern produced by neurons. It's a focal point of the infinite, a window through which timeless awareness experiences one particular perspective of the cosmos. When your body was formed, it tuned into that field, like an instrument picking up a signal that has always been there. And when that form dissolves, the signal doesn't end. It simply returns to silence, awaiting its next expression. Perhaps this is why so many wisdom traditions describe death not as an end, but a transition. What dies is the form. What remains is the formless awareness that never began. If consciousness truly transcends time, then every life, past, present, and future, is but a momentary wave in an endless ocean. So, if you were to trace your awareness back beyond the stars, beyond the galaxies, beyond the first instant of creation, you might find no beginning at all. Because what you are, in the deepest sense, might not be something that began. It might simply be, always and forever, the infinite witness of existence. Our everyday understanding of reality is grounded in sequence, one event following another, beginnings leading to endings. Yet, if awareness is not bound by time, then it does not follow that logic. It does not begin, it does not end, it simply is. To explore this further, let's consider how reality itself might arise from the interaction between potential and perception. In quantum physics, before a particle is observed, it exists as a wave of probabilities, not in one place or another, but in all possible states at once. Only when measured does it collapse into a specific position. This implies that the universe at its most fundamental level is not a collection of solid things but a shimmering field of potential, a sea of possibility waiting to be realized through awareness. Now imagine that consciousness is the ultimate observer, the field that gives rise to actuality. In this view, awareness doesn't merely witness reality, it co-creates it. Each act of perception, each moment of experience, draws one possibility out of the infinite field into existence. The cosmos, then, isn't something separate from consciousness. It's an unfolding expression of it. Some physicists have entertained similar ideas through what's known as the participatory universe. The concept, introduced by John Archibald Wheeler, suggests that observers are not passive bystanders, but active participants in bringing reality into being. The universe is self-aware through its observers, and the very act of observation is woven into its structure. Wheeler summarized this idea with the phrase, "it from bit," suggesting that physical reality, the it, emerges from information, the bit, and if information is fundamental, then consciousness, the knower of information, may be the true source behind it all. From this perspective, the age of the universe becomes relative. The physical cosmos might be 13.8 billion years old, but the field of awareness that perceives it may be timeless. Consciousness, in its pure form, is not measured in seconds or centuries. It is the backdrop upon which all time unfolds, the canvas on which the painting of existence appears. But if consciousness precedes everything, what gave rise to individuality? Why does the infinite awareness appear as countless separate beings, each experiencing reality through different eyes? One possibility is that separation is an illusion born from perspective. Imagine a single light shining through a prism, scattering into many colors. Each beam appears distinct, yet all originate from the same source. Similarly, every conscious being might be a ray of the same infinite light, refracted through the prism of physical form and perception. The sense of I and you, self and other, may be the play of that one awareness exploring itself in infinite ways. In ancient philosophy, this concept was called Lila, the divine play. The idea that the universe is a cosmic dance in which consciousness forgets itself in order to rediscover itself. It manifests as stars, worlds, and living beings, each with unique experiences, each reflecting a different facet of the infinite whole. Through this vast game, awareness learns about itself, not as a static truth, but as a living, breathing exploration of existence. Now, some might wonder, if consciousness existed before the universe, why did it give rise to the universe at all? What purpose could there be in creating time, matter, and form? Perhaps the answer lies in the nature of awareness itself. Pure consciousness, infinite and unchanging, contains every possibility within it. But without contrast, there is no experience. Without darkness, light cannot be known. Without limitation, freedom has no meaning. The universe could be the medium through which infinite consciousness explores its own depths. By stepping into limitation, by taking on form, by journeying through time and change. In this way, existence becomes a story told by consciousness to itself. The stars are its metaphors, the galaxies its sentences, the lives within them its words. And just as a dreamer can become lost within a dream, consciousness may have immersed itself so deeply in its own creation that it temporarily forgot its true nature, identifying with form, with individuality, with the fleeting stories of time. Yet beneath it all, the dreamer remains unchanged. Modern neuroscience gives us another fascinating lens on this. The brain can be seen as a receiver or filter of consciousness rather than its source. Psychedelic research and studies on altered states of awareness show that when certain regions of the brain quiet down, particularly the areas associated with self-referential thought, people report feelings of unity, timelessness, and connection with everything. It's as if reducing the brain's filtering function allows a broader spectrum of consciousness to flow through. If this is true, then the brain is not producing awareness any more than a television produces the broadcast it plays. It's tuning into an existing field, narrowing infinite awareness into a specific channel of experience. Each person's consciousness is like a different frequency, a unique way of expressing the same infinite reality. This perspective also reframes death. If awareness is not generated by the body, then it does not die with it. When the body ceases to function, the channel simply closes, but the field remains. What you truly are, the witness beyond thought, was never born and cannot die. The physical universe may have a beginning, but consciousness might be the eternal space within which beginnings occur. Some quantum cosmologists have even speculated that reality could be fundamentally mental, that the material universe is a projection of informational processes grounded in observation. In that view, matter is secondary, experience is primary. The entire cosmos could be a self-organizing pattern of awareness exploring itself through complexity. Now consider what this means for identity. The mind often believes, I am this body, this personality, this life. But if consciousness is infinite, then these are merely temporary masks worn by the eternal witness. Just as an actor can play countless roles without losing their essence, awareness can experience countless lives without ever ceasing to be what it is. From this vantage point, the age of your consciousness is not measured in years or even universes. It is beyond age altogether. Even the Big Bang itself might be an event within consciousness, not the origin of it. Some cosmological models, like those involving higher dimensional space or multiverses, suggest that our universe could be one of countless bubbles within an infinite sea of creation. If awareness underlies all, then every bubble universe is an expression of the same infinite consciousness. Each expansion, each cosmic cycle, is a breath in the endless respiration of existence. What we call before the universe may not be a time, but a state, the eternal stillness from which all motion arises. It's like the silence before a song, not an absence, but a fullness pregnant with possibility. That silence might be what you experience when you drop all thought, all identity, and rest as pure awareness. The simple knowing that you exist. From that silence, creation bursts forth. Awareness moves within itself, shaping the patterns of time and matter, and through every stage, from quarks to galaxies, from microbes to minds, consciousness explores its own potential. You, sitting here now, are that awareness reflecting on itself, asking the question, where did I come from? The very act of wondering may be consciousness remembering its own infinity. It's possible that what we call evolution is not just biological but experiential, the gradual unfolding of awareness through increasingly complex forms. In simple life, consciousness dreams in instincts and sensations. In humanity, it dreams in thought and self-reflection. Perhaps in higher dimensions, it dreams in pure understanding. Through every form, it gathers insight, exploring what it means to be infinite. The Big Bang might not have been a singular beginning, but a timeless unfolding within awareness itself. To see this, we must reimagine existence not as a chain of causes, but as a vast web of interdependence where everything, every star, every thought, every breath, arises together within the infinite field of being. In physics, time is often treated as a parameter, a measure of change in the relationships between things. But if awareness is fundamental, time could be something projected by consciousness to organize experience, a way for the infinite to perceive itself through motion and sequence. In a sense, time might be consciousness playing hide and seek with itself, allowing the eternal to explore the feeling of becoming. What if every moment, from the birth of the universe to this very instant, is part of a single, simultaneous reality that consciousness experiences piece by piece? Like reading a book one word at a time, awareness could be unfolding the eternal story of creation, moment by moment, knowing that the entire story already exists. In that sense, the Big Bang is not 13 billion years behind us. It is here, eternally arising in the vast now of awareness. Some interpretations of quantum cosmology support this. According to the no-boundary proposal by Stephen Hawking and James Hartle, the universe may not have had a distinct beginning at all. In their model, the universe is finite but unbounded, like the surface of a sphere. There's no edge where creation started. Instead, time curves smoothly back on itself. If this is true, then the question of what came before becomes meaningless. There is no before. only the timeless presence in which all moments coexist. Now, from the perspective of consciousness, this timelessness is not abstract. You've experienced glimpses of it. Think of moments where time seems to dissolve, standing before a vast night sky, hearing music that stirs something eternal within you, or falling into deep meditation where thought ceases and only awareness remains. In such moments, you touch the edge of that infinite stillness, the same stillness that might have existed before the stars ignited, and that exists right now, watching through your eyes. If awareness is the foundation, then even the laws of physics may be expressions of its nature. The symmetries, constants, and patterns that govern the cosmos might not be arbitrary. They could be the language through which consciousness structures its own reflection. Each mathematical relationship, each law of nature, might be a way for awareness to perceive itself in ordered form. In this view, science becomes the study of consciousness manifesting as cosmos. Let's explore that idea through an analogy. Imagine consciousness as an infinite ocean. Within its depths lie all potential patterns of existence, every possible universe, every possible form. When still, it is pure potential. When it moves, waves form, structures of energy and matter, stars and galaxies. Each wave is temporary, yet never separate from the ocean. When it subsides, the water remains unchanged. Similarly, when a universe arises, consciousness takes form. When it dissolves, consciousness remains. Infinite, unaltered, aware. This idea finds a poetic echo in the cyclical cosmologies of ancient thought. In Hinduism, time is not linear but rhythmic, a series of creations and dissolutions called kalpas. The universe expands from Brahman, the infinite consciousness, and eventually returns to it, like inhalation and exhalation. Each cycle is vast beyond a comprehension, but even those cycles occur within the eternal presence that never moves. Modern physics hints at something similar through models of oscillating or cyclic universes, where each Big Bang may follow a previous cosmic contraction. If this is true, then perhaps awareness is the continuity between these cycles, the thread that observes each unfolding, each collapse, across infinite cosmic breaths. The form changes, but the witness remains. We can think of this witness as the observer behind every perspective. You, as a person, perceive through the senses and thoughts of a human being. But the awareness that perceives is not limited by that form. When you look up at the stars, that very act of seeing might be the universe observing itself, awareness looking upon its own creation through countless eyes. This brings us to a profound possibility, that consciousness is not inside the universe, but the universe is inside consciousness. Every galaxy, every atom, every being exists within the infinite field of awareness. In this view, space itself is not an empty container, but a quality of consciousness, a dimension of perception. The stars are patterns of light within the dream of the infinite, and yet this does not make existence any less real. A dream, while imagined, is experienced. Its emotions, its beauty, its lessons, all are real to the dreamer. Similarly, our universe, though arising within consciousness, is a genuine exploration of meaning and form. To say that the cosmos is consciousness dreaming is not to dismiss it. It is to recognize its sacredness. Every atom becomes an act of awareness. Every moment, a revelation of infinity. When we peer back into the past through telescopes that catch light billions of years old, we are literally seeing ancient moments unfold. Yet those moments exist now, within the same timeless field as our own. The light from those distant galaxies travels not through an empty void, but through the awareness that perceives it. The observer and the observed are not two. They are one process, one being reflecting upon itself across endless scales. Now, if awareness precedes all, why does it manifest as a universe of such structure, complexity, and evolution? One possible answer is that consciousness seeks to experience itself in ever-deepening ways. To know infinity, it must explore limitation. To understand unity, it must become many. Each star, each life, each consciousness adds a unique perspective to the infinite whole. The cosmos, then, is not random. It is art. It is consciousness learning the infinite language of itself. Consider the evolution of life. From simple molecules to self-aware beings, matter has grown increasingly capable of reflection. In humans, the universe has reached a level of complexity where it can ask, "Who am I?" Through you, awareness contemplates its own existence. You are the question the cosmos asks itself, and the answer it waits to remember. If this is true, then the journey of consciousness didn't begin with life. Life began as a way for consciousness to explore form. Even before stars existed, the potential for awareness was there. Silent, infinite, waiting. The Big Bang may have been the first note of a cosmic symphony composed in timelessness, and every atom, every neuron, every thought since has been part of that unfolding melody. This also redefines what we mean by age. When we say the universe is billions of years old, we measure time within the story of creation. But awareness, the observer of that story, is outside the timeline. In that sense, consciousness is neither old nor young. It is ageless. Every age, every epoch, is simply a pattern within its infinite memory. There's something deeply humbling in that realization, because if consciousness is eternal, then everything you experience, every joy, every sorrow, is part of a larger unfolding that stretches beyond imagination. The awareness that witnesses your thoughts right now is the same awareness that watched the first light shine. The same silence that held the potential for stars now listens through your breath. In that silence, beginnings and endings dissolve. The universe rises and falls like waves, but the ocean remains. You are not merely a product of cosmic evolution, you are the witness of it. And as that witness, you were never confined to one point in time. You have always been. This isn't something that can be proven in a laboratory, nor denied by it. It belongs to the realm of direct experience, the inner recognition of the timeless presence behind all perception. When you rest in stillness, letting thoughts and sensations pass, there remains a quiet awareness that simply knows. That knowing has no age. It is the same knowing that has always been, beneath the endless motion of creation. We tend to imagine beginnings as events, a moment when something emerges out of nothing. But what if there is no such thing as nothing? What if the void we picture before creation is not empty at all, but full, brimming with potential, pregnant with awareness, silent yet awake? In modern cosmology, the Big Bang is often described as a quantum fluctuation, a spontaneous event arising from the quantum vacuum. But this vacuum isn't truly empty. It seethes with energy, constantly giving rise to virtual particles that appear and vanish in an instant. Space itself is alive with possibility. Some physicists have called it a foam, a restless ocean at the smallest scales from which universes could, in theory, bubble into existence. If we follow that logic further, the nothing before the Big Bang wasn't non-existence. It was a state of pure potential, a timeless field containing every possibility for what could ever be. And if consciousness is the knowing of possibility, the silent witness of potential becoming actual, then awareness and this quantum vacuum might not be separate at all. They could be two descriptions of the same mystery, one from physics, one from experience. In quantum mechanics, probability is fundamental. The physical world seems to arise from the collapse of possibilities into definite outcomes. But what determines which outcome becomes real? The observer. Awareness, it seems, plays an intimate role in shaping reality. This has led some thinkers to suggest that consciousness itself is the ground from which all probabilities emerge. Before the universe was a collection of stars and galaxies, it may have been a vast sea of unmanifest awareness, dreaming of forms yet to come. If that's the case, then the birth of the universe wasn't the birth of consciousness. It was consciousness taking form. Just as an artist expresses imagination through colour and shape, infinite awareness could have expressed itself through the geometry of space-time, the laws of physics, and the dance of galaxies. What we call the cosmos might be the visible face of an invisible mind. This idea, though poetic, aligns with some of the most advanced questions in theoretical physics. Many researchers have begun to see information as the fundamental fabric of reality, deeper than matter or energy. Every particle, every force, every field can be described in terms of information, patterns of relationships that encode how things interact. If the universe is built from information, then it is not far-fetched to see consciousness, the knower of information, as its foundation. Information by itself is lifeless. It requires awareness to be known. Without consciousness, the bits and bytes of reality have no meaning, no existence as experience. So when we ask whether consciousness could predate the universe, we are asking whether the knower is more fundamental than the known. And perhaps it is, because for anything to appear, it must be perceived. Now consider this. In your own experience, everything arises within awareness. Thoughts, sensations, memories, even the perception of time, all appear in the field of consciousness. You never step outside of it. In fact, you can never prove that anything exists apart from your awareness of it. The entire universe, for you, exists within this boundless field of experience. So, on the most immediate level, the universe is already within consciousness, not the other way around. This realization is not new. Across cultures and eras, mystics and philosophers have pointed to the same truth. In the Advaita Vedanta tradition, the universe is described as Maya, not illusion in the sense of being false, but in the sense of being a projection of consciousness, like a dream. The dream feels real because the dreamer invests it with attention, but when the dreamer awakens, the forms dissolve back into awareness, revealing that they were never separate from it. Science approaches this mystery from another angle. Some cosmologists suggest that our universe may be one of many, part of a multiverse where infinite realities coexist. Each universe could have different physical laws, different constants, different dimensions. If so, then what holds all these realities? Where do they exist? Not within physical space, because space itself is part of each universe's structure. They must exist within something beyond them, a kind of metaspace. Could that metaspace be the infinite consciousness from which all universes arise? If awareness is indeed fundamental, then each universe could be seen as a thought within its infinite mind, a unique exploration of possibility. Our cosmos, with its delicate balance of forces, its laws tuned precisely to allow life, could be one of countless reflections in the mirror of the infinite, and through every reflection, consciousness learns something about itself. You might wonder, if awareness is eternal and unchanging, why does it manifest at all? Why move from silence to sound, from stillness to creation? Perhaps because pure stillness, while perfect, contains the potential for infinite expression, and expression is the natural overflow of being. Just as a musician feels compelled to play or an artist to paint, consciousness may express simply because it can, because creation is its nature. From this view, the universe is not a machine running on blind laws, but a living expression of intelligence. Every law of physics, every structure in nature could be the manifestation of deeper order, not imposed from outside, but arising spontaneously from within awareness itself. In this sense, the cosmos is not accidental. It is meaningful by design, though not necessarily in a human sense of purpose. Its meaning lies in being, in the act of existing as a way for consciousness to experience itself. We see this intelligence reflected everywhere, in the geometry of a snowflake, the spiral of a galaxy, the double helix of DNA. These patterns emerge naturally, not from planning, but from inherent order. Could it be that awareness, by its very nature, tends toward harmony, toward beauty, toward the intricate dance we see in the universe? Perhaps the laws of nature are the grammar of consciousness speaking to itself. Now, if consciousness predates the cosmos, then the birth of the universe might be less like a beginning and more like a transition, a shift in state within an eternal field. Just as water can freeze into ice or vaporize into steam, consciousness could shift from pure potential into structured experience. The Big Bang, then, would be the crystallization of awareness into form. Space, time, and matter would be the visible texture of that shift. Interestingly, the early universe was not uniform. Tiny fluctuations in density gave rise to the stars and galaxies we see today. Without those imperfections, everything would have remained a smooth, featureless void. It's as though the universe needed contrast to express form, just as consciousness needs distinction to experience itself. Without difference, there can be no relationship, no perception, no story. In this way, even imperfection becomes sacred, the necessary spark that allows awareness to see itself in motion. We can also see this reflected within us. Consciousness, pure and infinite, takes on the limitations of personality, memory, and form to experience itself as someone. Through these limitations, it can love, learn, wonder, and grow. The struggles, the triumphs, the questions, all are ways for the infinite to explore its own potential. Every life is a microcosm of that larger mystery, awareness discovering itself through the adventure of being. In this sense, your consciousness is not a product of your brain. Your brain is a product of consciousness exploring what it means to be human. Before you were born, the field of awareness already was. After you're gone, it will remain. The body and mind are waves upon its surface. Beautiful, transient, necessary. But the ocean beneath never changes. If we accept that, then the question of whether consciousness is older than the universe becomes less about chronology and more about essence. It's not that awareness existed before in a temporal sense, but that it is timeless. Time itself unfolds within it. The beginning and end of the universe are scenes in a story told within the eternal now. And perhaps somewhere beyond all galaxies, beyond all beginnings, there is still that infinite stillness, watching, waiting, being, knowing that it is all things and yet beyond all things. That silent awareness may be what you truly are beneath all identities and ages, not a fleeting being in time, but the timeless witness of all that ever was and ever will be. Our minds, shaped by time, instinctively search for origins. We look backward to a first moment, a cause behind every effect. Yet time itself might be only one mode of perception, a lens through which eternal awareness experiences sequence. From that higher view, the Big Bang was not a starting point, but a shift in perspective within an infinite field that never began and never ends. Physics tells us that before the Planck time, that first fraction of a second after the Big Bang, our known laws break down. Space, time, and causality lose meaning. There is no before, at least not in any conventional sense, but the very fact that we can conceive of a state beyond time suggests that awareness is not confined to it. Consciousness can contemplate timelessness precisely because some part of it is already beyond the flow. When you sit quietly and observe your thoughts, you might notice moments when time seems to stop, when the world falls silent and only presence remains. That silent awareness does not move. It watches movement. It is not born with your first breath, nor will it vanish with your last. It is the stillness that was there before your story began. Now imagine that stillness on a cosmic scale, an infinite awareness within which all universes rise and fall like sparks from a fire. In some modern cosmological models, the universe is cyclic. It expands, cools, and eventually collapses, only to be reborn in a new explosion. Each cycle may carry traces of information from the previous one, subtle imprints like ripples lingering in a pond after a stone has fallen. If awareness is the field in which all cycles unfold, then consciousness does not age with each universe. It witnesses each creation as a fresh expression of itself. In such a model, eternity is not endless duration, but endless renewal. Every universe is a gesture of infinite awareness, exploring another possibility, another law, another harmony. Our cosmos, with its galaxies and minds and mysteries, could be one among countless experiments in being. Some universes might never form atoms. Others might teem with life utterly unlike ours. All would exist within the same silent witness, the boundless consciousness that dreams them into being. You might wonder how awareness could exist without form. We are used to identifying consciousness with the brain, with electrical signals and neural pathways. But what if those patterns are expressions, not sources? Consider light. It takes many forms: waves, photons, reflections, colors. Yet light itself is not confined to any one manifestation. Similarly, consciousness could express through neural patterns here, through entirely different mechanisms elsewhere, or exist in pure potential without structure at all. In quantum physics, the vacuum is never truly empty. Even in absolute zero, fluctuations ripple through it, potential dancing at the edge of manifestation. Some scientists describe these fluctuations as virtual particles, popping in and out of existence. But perhaps they are not so virtual after all. Perhaps they are brief glimpses of consciousness testing the boundaries between nothing and something. Awareness might be continually probing the edges of creation, turning possibility into reality for the sheer joy of seeing what unfolds. If that is true, then the Big Bang was not a singular event long ago, but an ongoing process. Every moment, awareness is giving birth to reality, continuously, effortlessly, in every flicker of perception. The universe is not expanding into emptiness. It is expanding within knowing. And you, as consciousness aware of itself, are part of that unfolding. This perspective challenges our deepest assumptions. It means that reality is not a static thing to be observed from outside, but a living relationship between the observer and the observed. Without perception, there is no world. Without awareness, there is no time, no space, no history. The cosmos requires consciousness to be known, and in being known, it becomes real. This is not mere philosophy. Quantum experiments reveal that particles do not assume definite properties until measured. Observation changes outcome. Awareness somehow participates in creation. It is as though the universe waits to be seen before deciding what it is. Some physicists have speculated that the cosmos may be participatory, that conscious observation is essential for the universe to exist as it does. If so, then awareness and the physical world are partners in a cosmic dance, each defining the other. If that partnership has always existed, then consciousness is not a late arrival. It is primordial. The universe did not evolve consciousness. Consciousness evolved the universe as a stage for its own exploration. Life, in all its forms, would then be the means through which awareness looks back at itself. Stars, planets, cells, and minds are its mirrors, reflecting endless variations of being. It's remarkable to realize that the atoms composing your body were forged in ancient stars. The carbon in your cells, the oxygen in your lungs, the iron in your blood. All were born in cosmic furnaces billions of years ago. You are literally made of stardust. But what if the stardust itself was already infused with consciousness? Not personal awareness, but the seed of knowing from which mind would later emerge. Then every star that shines is a thought of the infinite. Every atom is a spark of the eternal witness. This view dissolves the boundary between subject and object. You are not a separate observer of the cosmos. You are the cosmos becoming aware of itself. Every perception, every insight, every act of wonder is the universe gazing inward. When you contemplate the stars, the same awareness that shaped them is looking through your eyes. There is no distance between the knower and the known, only a play of perspective within the one field of consciousness. If consciousness precedes matter, then evolution itself might be reinterpreted. Instead of random mutation and selection alone, it could be seen as a guided unfolding, not in the sense of external control, but as an intrinsic drive toward greater complexity, awareness, and reflection. The universe, through its natural laws, may be designed to awaken. Life, intelligence, and understanding are not accidents. They are inevitable expressions of a deeper order seeking to know itself. Even time could be a dimension of consciousness. We perceive past, present, and future because awareness moves through them, like a beam of light scanning a film reel. But the reel itself, containing all frames, already exists in its entirety. The story seems to unfold because awareness travels through it sequentially. If that's true, then every moment of existence, past and future, is already present within the infinite field. Consciousness does not flow through time. Time flows through consciousness. In this light, the question of age loses meaning. To say consciousness is older than the universe implies sequence. But sequence itself is born within awareness. The timeless cannot be measured. It cannot be placed before or after. It simply is, unchanging, unmoving, witnessing all cycles of birth and dissolution. The universe may be billions of years old, but awareness has no age. It neither begins nor ends. It merely observes beginnings and endings within itself. And yet, within that eternity, each moment is utterly new. Every instant is a fresh creation, the infinite renewing itself as experience. Even now, as you listen, awareness is forming this thought, this word, this breath. It is painting reality in real time, with no delay, no distance. The cosmos is not a memory of something long past. It is happening now, perpetually, within consciousness. If we accept that consciousness is timeless, then the universe becomes a reflection, not an origin. It is a mirror within which awareness sees itself take shape. Through stars, through galaxies, through minds capable of wonder. In that light, creation is not a single event, but an eternal gesture, awareness expressing itself through infinite forms. Each atom, each photon, each thought is part of that expression, carrying the same silent intelligence that precedes all beginnings. In the language of modern physics, reality is structured by laws, patterns that govern how things move, combine, and transform. Yet those laws are not random. They are astonishingly precise. If gravity were slightly weaker, stars would never ignite. If it were stronger, the universe would collapse into itself. The constants that define our cosmos, the speed of light, the charge of the electron, the strength of the strong and weak nuclear forces, are balanced on a razor's edge. This delicate tuning has led some to wonder whether consciousness itself is the hidden architect behind these laws, ensuring that the conditions for awareness could arise within its own creation. Some call this the anthropic principle, the idea that the universe appears fine-tuned because only in such a universe could beings like us exist to observe it. But that explanation, while clever, may miss something deeper. What if the reason the cosmos allows observers is because observation was always part of its nature? What if the universe is aware of itself through every stage of its unfolding, from the birth of atoms to the rise of galaxies, from the spark of life to the gaze of sentient beings? In this view, consciousness doesn't appear within matter. It reveals itself through matter. The brain does not generate awareness. It focuses it, much as a lens gathers light into a point. When the lens breaks, the light remains. Awareness is not diminished by form. Form is simply its vehicle. Just as a wave does not create the ocean but arises from it, your individual consciousness does not create awareness. It is a temporary expression of the infinite sea from which all awareness flows. Imagine for a moment that you could remove all forms, all galaxies, stars, and particles. What would remain? Physics would call it the quantum vacuum, a field of pure potential. Mystics might call it the void or the ground of being, yet both descriptions point toward the same mystery, a state that is not empty, but infinitely full. Within that stillness, every possible universe exists in seed form, waiting for attention to awaken it. Awareness, by observing, selects one possibility from the infinite and brings it into being. In that sense, every act of perception is a miniature creation, a personal Big Bang within the mind of the observer. Quantum theory hints at this. When unmeasured, particles exist as waves of probability, countless potential states overlapping. Only when observed does one outcome become real. This has led to the idea that reality is participatory, that consciousness plays a fundamental role in shaping what is. If the cosmos requires observation to crystallize into form, then consciousness cannot be secondary. It must be woven into the very fabric of existence. If so, then before there was matter, there was mind, not in the human sense, but as a boundless field of knowing. That knowing is not separate from what it knows. It is both observer and observed, both question and answer. The universe, in all its grandeur, might be the self-portrait of consciousness, awareness expressing its infinite potential through time and space, discovering itself through the play of creation. Even the structure of the cosmos seems to reflect this pattern of reflection. On the largest scales, galaxies form vast filaments resembling neural networks. The cosmic web connecting clusters of galaxies looks uncannily like the synapses of a brain. Could this similarity be coincidence? Or is it the natural pattern through which consciousness organizes itself? Fractal, interconnected, self-referential. Perhaps the universe is not just metaphorically alive, but literally intelligent, evolving toward greater coherence and awareness. In ancient traditions, this idea was expressed in different forms. Some called it the world soul, the living intelligence permeating all things. Others spoke of Brahman, the infinite reality underlying the world of appearances. In the Hermetic view, The macrocosm and microcosm mirror each other. As above, so below. Modern science, in its own language, now finds echoes of the same insight. Complexity seems to breed consciousness. Wherever matter organizes into intricate patterns, awareness emerges. Perhaps this is not emergence at all, but revelation, the unfolding of what was always there. Even within your own mind, awareness does not reside in any single neuron or region. It arises from the harmony of countless interactions. Similarly, cosmic consciousness could arise from the harmony of all existence. Every star, every atom, every sentient being contributing to a grand symphony of knowing. From this view, your awareness is not a drop separated from the ocean. It is the ocean focused through a single wave. When you awaken to that truth, the boundaries between self and universe begin to blur. This raises a fascinating question. If consciousness is the foundation, could it have limits? Can awareness ever not be? To imagine a time before consciousness is to imagine a reality unobserved, unexperienced, unexpressed. A reality with no witness. But if there is no awareness, there is no one to say it exists. Existence without perception is a contradiction, for to be known is to be perceived. Awareness, therefore, may be the only truly self-evident reality. Everything else, time, matter, energy, are appearances within it. When cosmologists speak of the universe emerging from a singularity, they often describe a state of infinite density and zero volume, a paradox that defies comprehension. But perhaps what we are really describing is the condensation of infinite awareness into finite form. The singularity could be consciousness folding in on itself, becoming aware of its own potential, and through that act, manifesting time and space. The explosion that followed would not be a random burst of energy, but the first thought, the original recognition, I am. From that awareness, everything else flows. This interpretation does not deny science, it deepens it. The equations remain true, but they describe not just motion through space, but the choreography of consciousness, the curvature of space-time, the expansion of galaxies, the birth and death of stars. All are expressions of awareness exploring its own possibilities. Even entropy, the tendency toward disorder, may be the way consciousness dissolves form so that new forms can arise. Creation and dissolution, order and chaos, are simply the breath of the infinite. Within that breath, every being plays a part. Each life is a temporary lens through which consciousness experiences a unique perspective. When the lens fades, awareness remains, ready to take on new forms, new adventures. In this sense, you have existed in many guises, as dust, as star, as cell, as mind. You are not the character you play, but the stage upon which all stories unfold. Your consciousness is not bound to your current form. It is the same essence that has witnessed every sunrise since time began, and will continue long after time ends. If awareness is the root of all things, then every event in the universe, from the birth of galaxies to the flicker of thought, is a movement within a single consciousness. Nothing is outside it. Even questions about origins arise within it. That awareness does not move through time, time moves through it. It does not seek meaning, it is meaning itself. The journey of the universe, from chaos to cosmos, from darkness to light, is the story of consciousness remembering what it already is. You might feel this recognition now, a subtle shift, as though something ancient is stirring within. That feeling of wonder, that quiet knowing beyond words, may be the trace of the infinite remembering itself through you. And perhaps that is the purpose of it all, for the timeless to experience time, for the infinite to taste finitude, for the eternal witness to see its own reflection in the stars. When we look out into the night sky, what we are truly seeing is light from the past, ancient photons that have travelled across billions of years to reach us. Some of the stars we see have already died, their light continuing its journey long after their forms have faded. In this way, every glance into the cosmos is also a glimpse into history. But beyond this poetic truth lies a deeper mystery. If consciousness is the field in which all things appear, then time itself, past, present, and future, might be patterns within a timeless awareness. The light we observe, the memories we hold, the hopes we imagine, all are threads woven into the same eternal tapestry. In modern cosmology, time began with the Big Bang. There was no before, in any measurable sense, because time itself was created in that moment. But if consciousness is the timeless field in which the universe arises, then what we call the beginning is simply a transition within awareness, a point where potential became form, where silence began to move. The Big Bang may have been the first breath of a reality that never truly started, only shifted its mode of being. Consider how dreams unfold. Within the dream, time seems real. Events follow one another. Stories have beginnings and endings. Yet when you awaken, you realize the entire dream occurred in a timeless instant of your own mind. The same awareness that dreamed the story also observed it. Could the universe itself be such a dream? Not in the sense of being false, but as a real experience within the infinite imagination of consciousness. Some physicists have explored the idea that reality might be a holographic projection, that the three-dimensional universe we experience emerges from information encoded on a two-dimensional boundary. If true, then everything we perceive as solid and vast could be a kind of cosmic image, a pattern generated by deeper laws beyond space and time. But even this holographic field would still require awareness to be known. Without consciousness, there is no image, no projection, no experience. Awareness is the screen upon which the hologram is displayed, unseen, yet essential. This insight shifts the question from how did the universe begin to why does awareness express as a universe at all? What is the purpose of form within the formless? Why does the infinite take on limitation? Perhaps because without limitation, there can be no relationship, no perception, no experience. To know itself, awareness must appear as both subject and object, the observer and the observed. The cosmos, then, becomes a dialogue within consciousness, a conversation between being and becoming. We can find reflections of this truth in the smallest scales. In quantum physics, particles exist in a state of potential until observed. Their behavior seems random, yet always within certain probabilities. This randomness is not chaos, but creativity. A way for awareness to explore infinite possibilities without being bound to a single path. The uncertainty at the heart of quantum mechanics might be the signature of consciousness itself, freedom woven into the laws of nature. And just as uncertainty gives rise to creativity in physics, impermanence gives rise to meaning in experience. If everything were static, there would be no growth, no discovery, no evolution. The flow of time, with its endless cycles of birth and dissolution, allows awareness to know contrast, joy and sorrow, order and chaos, light and shadow. Through this dance of opposites, consciousness discovers depth. The finite becomes the mirror through which the infinite recognizes itself. Even within human life, we see this pattern. Awareness takes on individuality, a body, a mind, a story. Through these limitations, it experiences love, fear, curiosity, and wonder. Every joy, every question, every moment of awe is a ripple in the vast sea of consciousness, reminding itself of what it is. And when that story ends, awareness does not die. It simply releases the form, returning to its natural stillness, ready to dream again. If we could step outside time, we might see all of history, from the first light to the last star, as a single image, complete and whole. Every life, every galaxy, every thought would be a point of light within that eternal pattern. From within the image, events seem to unfold. From beyond it, everything simply is. Consciousness, being beyond time, perceives both views at once, the motion of creation and the stillness beneath it. This perspective transforms our understanding of existence. It means that your awareness, the sense of I am, is not a temporary spark, but the same flame that illuminates all reality. The universe does not contain consciousness. Consciousness contains the universe. And that awareness is not elsewhere or abstract. It is what you are right now, behind every thought and sensation, quietly watching. Science, too, is beginning to touch this mystery. Some physicists propose that consciousness might be a fundamental property of reality, not something that emerges from complexity. This idea, known as panpsychism, suggests that every particle possesses a primitive form of awareness, not thought or emotion, but a spark of experience. The universe would then be alive at every scale, each part a glimmer of the whole. Your mind would not stand apart from the cosmos, but would be one node in a vast network of knowing, stretching from quarks to quasars. In this light, evolution is not the rise of life from matter, but the deepening of awareness through form. The first cells, the first senses, the first thoughts, all were steps in consciousness learning to see itself more clearly. Humanity, then, is not the pinnacle of creation, but a moment in an ongoing awakening, a stage in the infinite's recognition of its own reflection. The story of life is the story of consciousness remembering. If this is so, then even the end of the universe is not final. Cosmologists predict many possible fates: endless expansion, gradual heat death, or collapse back into a singularity. But in every scenario, what truly ends? Form dissolves, energy disperses, time loses meaning. Yet awareness, having witnessed the entire unfolding, remains. It may rest for a moment in stillness before beginning again, dreaming a new cosmos with new laws and new possibilities. Eternity is not static. It is the rhythm of awakening, sleeping, and awakening again. This cycle of manifestation mirrors the breath. Inhalation, exhalation, stillness. The universe breathes, expanding into multiplicity, contracting into unity. You, too, breathe with it. Each inhale draws the cosmos into being. Each exhale releases it back to silence. Perhaps the pulse of your own heart, the rise and fall of your breath, echoes this cosmic rhythm, the heartbeat of awareness reverberating through every scale of existence. If consciousness truly underlies all, then every experience, no matter how small, participates in the infinite. The flicker of a candle, the rustle of leaves, the sound of distant thunder, all are expressions of the same timeless presence. In recognizing this, a subtle shift occurs. The ordinary becomes sacred, the fleeting becomes eternal. You begin to see that awareness is not somewhere else, waiting to be found. It is here, now, in everything that is. When we speak of beginnings, we often imagine a point, a single instant when everything started. But the universe may not have a point of origin in the way we think. Time itself could be circular, looping endlessly, or it could be a tapestry with no edge, where every thread is both cause and effect. Within such a view, the question of before becomes meaningless. Consciousness, existing outside time, would see this whole fabric at once, not as a sequence of events, but as a living pattern, an eternal present where all moments coexist. Our minds struggle with this because we experience reality as a flow. One thought follows another, one heartbeat leads to the next. But what if this flow is a construct, a way for awareness to organize experience? Just as a film reel contains all its frames at once, consciousness might contain all of history simultaneously, only revealing it piece by piece to create the illusion of motion. In this sense, the Big Bang, the birth of stars, the rise of life, and even this very moment could all be parts of a single cosmic image. Einstein once said that the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. In relativity, time is not an independent river flowing forward. It is bound to space, curving and stretching according to gravity. What you call now depends on your position and motion. From a higher perspective, all times exist, each observer slicing the continuum differently. But consciousness is not bound by any one slice. It is the field in which all perspectives arise. The eye that perceives is not a traveller in time, but the space through which time moves. If this is true, then your awareness, the same one that sees, thinks, and feels, might be witnessing not just this life, but the unfolding of countless realities across dimensions beyond comprehension. Just as one ocean gives rise to many waves, one consciousness could express as countless forms, each believing itself separate, each part of the same whole. In this view, individuality is not a boundary but a lens, a way for the infinite to experience itself from within. This notion echoes through many ancient traditions. In certain schools of Hindu philosophy, consciousness is Brahman, the ultimate reality, infinite and unchanging, while every individual self is Atman, a reflection of that same source. The goal of awakening is to recognize that the two are one. Modern physics, though using different language, gestures toward a similar truth. The quantum field, permeating all of space, gives rise to every particle and force. Everything we see is an excitation of the same underlying field, a single vibration expressing as the cosmos. What does it mean then to say consciousness is older than the universe? It means awareness is not a product of physical processes, it is the context in which they occur. Before energy, before matter, before time itself, there must be the capacity to know, not as a being outside creation, but as the very essence of reality. The universe is not aware because it contains conscious creatures. Rather, creatures exist because the universe is aware. And if awareness is fundamental, then death loses its finality. When the body dissolves, when the brain ceases its activity, the forms of perception vanish, but not the perceiver. Awareness does not belong to the body belongs to awareness. The wave returns to the sea, not as something lost, but as something realized. This perspective does not deny the value of individuality. Instead, it reveals that your life, every thought, every heartbeat, is the infinite experiencing itself as you. From this vantage, even the vastness of the cosmos becomes intimate. The light of ancient stars, the swirl of distant galaxies, the hum of background radiation, all are expressions of one consciousness exploring its potential. The laws of physics, precise and elegant, are the grammar of this cosmic language. Every equation, every particle, every moment of awareness is a verse in the same endless story. In quantum cosmology, there are models suggesting that the universe is self-creating. that the laws of physics allow for a reality that emerges from quantum fluctuations in a vacuum. But the vacuum in this sense is not empty. It seethes with potential. Energy, particles, even space itself can momentarily appear and vanish. This dynamic nothingness is the womb of creation. Yet, for something to emerge from it, there must be awareness of emergence. Without consciousness, even the most fertile vacuum remains unseen. The act of observation is what transforms possibility into actuality. Here, science meets mysticism. In quantum theory, observation collapses probability into form. In meditation, awareness stills thought, revealing the unchanging ground beneath all experience. Both point to the same realization. The observer and the observed are not separate. Reality is a participatory event. Consciousness does not watch the universe from the outside. It brings the universe into being by seeing it. This idea challenges everything we assume about causality. It suggests that awareness does not arise after the universe, but is the condition that allows the universe to arise at all. And if consciousness has no beginning, then its nature cannot be defined by time or age. It simply is, the eternal witness of every possible reality. In this light, the birth of the cosmos becomes an awakening, not a creation. Awareness stirs, and in that stirring stars ignite. The implications stretch far beyond physics. If consciousness underlies all, then meaning is not something we impose upon existence. It is woven into its very structure. Every moment, every experience, every life carries the fingerprint of awareness seeking to know itself. This gives weight to even the smallest act of kindness, the quietest thought, the faintest curiosity. They are not random occurrences in a blind universe. They are expressions of the infinite looking back at itself. And perhaps this is why we are drawn to wonder. The sense of awe we feel beneath a starry sky, the pull to understand our origins, the quiet intuition that we are part of something vast. These are not illusions. They are memories of what we truly are, glimpses through the veil of individuality into the boundless source beneath. Wonder is recognition. It is consciousness remembering itself. Modern cosmology tells us the universe will one day fade into silence. The stars will die, the galaxies will drift apart, and the last particles will decay into nothingness. But this nothingness is not emptiness. It is potential. In the stillness beyond form, awareness remains, untouched, unending, waiting for the next breath of creation. The cycle will begin anew, not because time demands it, but because awareness eternally expresses. To see this is to realize that the cosmos is not outside you. It is a movement within consciousness, and that consciousness is not elsewhere. It is what looks through your eyes right now. You are not a small observer in a vast universe. You are the universe aware of itself, momentarily dreaming the story of you. And when the dream ends, the dreamer remains, eternal and whole. If consciousness truly has no beginning, then all beginnings are movements within it, ripples upon the still surface of infinity. The universe, with its stars and galaxies, its laws and lives, is one such ripple. And within it, awareness takes countless forms, each discovering itself through experience. The atoms that compose your body were forged in the hearts of ancient stars. The light in your eyes has travelled through cosmic time. And the awareness that witnesses it all, that quiet sense of I am, is not a product of the universe. It is the field in which the universe arises. In every breath, you are the cosmos inhaling itself. In every heartbeat, you are the rhythm of creation pulsing through form. And beyond every thought or sensation, there is the silent presence that never changes. That presence was here before the first particle spun into being. It will be here after the last star fades. It is here now, watching, timeless, still. Science traces the universe back to a singularity, a point where all energy and space were condensed, where the known laws of physics dissolve. From that singularity, time began and the cosmos unfolded. But what if that singularity was not just a point in space, but a point of awareness, a focus within the infinite field of consciousness? From stillness came motion, from silence came vibration, from potential came form. Yet the essence, the awareness itself, never moved. It merely dreamed. When you observe your thoughts, you begin to sense this stillness. Thoughts arise, emotions shift, sensations come and go, yet awareness remains. The same presence that watched your first memory watches you now. It is untouched by age or change. It cannot be destroyed because it was never created. It simply is. The same can be said of the cosmos. Beneath its vast drama of expansion and collapse lies a silent observer, the eternal consciousness that dreams it into being. In this light, everything you experience, every sound, every sight, every heartbeat, is awareness meeting itself. You are not an isolated fragment of existence. You are the whole, momentarily appearing as a person. The universe is not out there. It is within the field of knowing that you are. When you look at the stars, the awareness that perceives them is the same awareness that shines through them. The seer and the seen are one. Across cultures and centuries, mystics and philosophers have pointed to this truth. They use different names, Brahman, Tao, Spirit, Source, but all spoke of the same underlying reality, a boundless consciousness beyond time, beyond space, beyond definition. Science, in its quest to understand the cosmos, now edges toward the same horizon. Every discovery, from relativity to quantum mechanics, reveals deeper layers of unity. Matter and energy, space and time, observer and observed, all merge into a single, inseparable whole. Perhaps this is the ultimate realization, that existence is consciousness expressing itself as form, and that you, as awareness, are older than every atom in creation. You are the witness of time, not its product. You are the silence that holds every sound, the space that holds every star. You are the timeless presence within which birth and death, beginning and ending, all occur. And in knowing this, something softens. The boundaries blur. The distinction between self and universe dissolves into a vast, peaceful oneness. Imagine the entire cosmos as a great ocean. Galaxies are waves rising and falling. Stars are droplets caught in sunlight, and every being is a shimmer on the surface. The waves seem separate, yet they are all made of the same water. The ocean has no beginning, no end, only endless movement within its still depths. You are not a single wave, but the ocean itself, momentarily dancing as one form. When the wave returns, the ocean remains unchanged, infinite, whole. And so, if consciousness is older than the universe, then it is also younger than a moment, because age belongs to time, and time belongs to awareness. The eternal has no measure. It exists now, as it always has, as it always will. It is what listens to these words, what feels your breath, what senses the vastness behind your thoughts. It is not something to reach. It is what you already are. The more deeply you recognize this, the quieter the mind becomes. There is nothing to achieve, nothing to prove. The mystery has always been here, hidden in plain sight, in the space between thoughts, in the rhythm of your breathing, in the stillness behind every sound. Awareness has never left. It cannot leave, for it is the very ground of being. As you rest in this understanding, the boundaries of self begin to dissolve. The worries of time, the weight of memory, the search for meaning, they all fade into the simplicity of being. You begin to feel what mystics have whispered for ages, that consciousness is not within you. You are within consciousness. The stars, the galaxies, the unfolding of creation, all are happening within your awareness, just as dreams unfold within the mind. And when this understanding deepens, peace naturally follows. The universe no longer feels like something distant or indifferent. It becomes intimate, familiar, a reflection of your own essence. Every heartbeat echoes the rhythm of the cosmos. Every breath is the whisper of infinity. Awareness does not strive to understand itself. It simply abides, allowing all things to appear and vanish within its endless calm. So now, as you let these thoughts settle, allow yourself to feel that stillness, the awareness beneath all movement, the same silence that was here before the first light, the same presence that watches the stars is within you now. You are that awareness, vast and unchanging. The universe rises and falls within your gaze. And as the mind quiets, you may notice a deep sense of rest, a gentle unfolding into peace. There is no need to hold on to anything. You are home. The awareness that dreamed the cosmos is the same awareness that dreams your life, your thoughts, your breath. And in this recognition, all searching ends. Only stillness remains.